This video is brought to you by the Crafts channel in association with Palmer Metals. For more information, visit www.palmermetals.co.uk. Hello and welcome to the Crafts channel in association with Palmer Metals. I'm here with Corinne Bradd, who's showing us how to do some oxidization of metals.
Hi Abby. What we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to put a patina on your metal blanks. Really what it is that the metal reacts with the oxygen in the air and it discolours it. So if you've got a piece of silver jewellery and it's got a blackness to it, and you need to polish it, what we're trying to do is achieve that so it looks antique. You know, I've done some pieces here. This is a tiara cast finding, which was bright silver. Yeah. And we've managed to make it look really old. So it's not exactly steampunk, but it's that kind of genre.
It's got some elements of it, hasn't it?
So what we'll use this patina gel from Palmer Metals. It does smell a bit. I will warn you now.
Thank you.
It doesn't hurt to inhale it. It's quite safe. I mean, don't splash it on your skin, but you know, it's not very dangerous. Like, and what you need to do is you need to have your gel. You need 1 part of gel to 70 parts of water as a guide.
Okay, you're just using a little cup to mix.
I'm just going to use a little mixing cup. Yeah. What I'm going to do.
So just
open it.
A tiny bit then.
I'm just going to put a couple of drops of the gel in this cup.
Yeah. And
then for the fastest results, you want to use water at 50 degrees centigrade.
So we've used some boiling.
I've got some, well, no, this is water that's about 50 degrees. It has boiled at one point and it's been allowed to cool. If you haven't got a thermometer, simply boil the kettle and then have half boiling water, half tap water, and you'll be thereabouts. Yeah. I mean, it's as long as it's not so hot that
when you tell by the colour when you...
No, you can only tell really how much gel you've got in there by the colour. Okay. Now this doesn't smell too bad at this point. Okay. When it does smell is when you neutralise the gel that's in here, because you neutralise it with bicarbonate of soda in water, so baking soda. Mm-hmm. And I've got a cup of that mixed up with water here, because what I'll be doing is once I've made the oxidisation on the piece, I'll be dunking it in here to stop it getting any darker.
Are we using a special surface?
No, this is just my normal beading mat. It stops things rolling around. So really what we're trying to achieve is we're trying to get from this copper blank here to this copper blank here. Okay,
so proper black.
Yeah, this is as black as it will go. Yeah. The warmer your water, the quicker the oxidation will happen. So if you want to do it by varying degrees, then do it.
You could do a little science experiment.
You could do a little science experiment. Copper, I've found, does tend to oxidise quicker than anything else. So if you just grab your copper blank in a pair of pliers.
And these shapes are all from Palmer's Metals?
Yeah, these are all, I mean, there's some great shapes. You've got the hearts here, the cogwheels, leaves.
All in the different colours as well.
Yeah, well, copper and brass. I mean, they also sell sheet silver as well, which is great, but don't practice with it because it's quite expensive. Okay. So we'll just dunk it in here. And as I say, I've got the water quite warm because what I want to do is I want the oxidisation to happen quickly enough on screen. Obviously, the hotter the water, you see how quickly that's oxidised now? Yeah. Compared to how it was to start with the bright copper.
Got some black
to it. You've got some black to it. The other thing I've found is if you've touched it with your fingernails, the grease off your hands, well, those bits will oxidise quicker. So unless you want that effect, give it a polish before you dip it in. So you can do this with copper, you can do this with brass, you can do this with silver. I've found that copper oxidises quickest.
It doesn't come off on your hands afterwards. So
no, it doesn't.
So
you could polish it off. Yeah. The other thing I was going to show you is if you've done it, if you've oxidised something too greatly and you want to change it, then I've got a quick tip to take it off for even more distressed effect.
Do you need to dry that off before you
start? No, what I need to do is this is, as I say, baking soda in water. Yeah. I'm just going to dunk that in there. And it just neutralises it.
Okay, so that turns it back to its original colour.
Yeah, just makes it. No, it won't turn it back to the original colour, but it will stop it reacting any further.
Okay, that's so what you want to do. When you're happy with the colour, that's.
Yeah, you want to stop the chemical reaction, and then you can either pat it dry or just let it air dry. Yeah. I'm just going to move that before I knock it over because I do know what I'm like.
Oh, I would.
A couple of things you can do if you have over oxidised it.
Yes, like that.
If you get a glass nail file and you give it a bit of a buff over, you can take the surface off it again. So, you know, if you had, for example, something that you wanted to look like it had lots of finger marks on it and lots of wear in the raised areas and other bits were oxidised, you can just polish it off. I mean, the other thing is if you've got a fine polishing cloth, you will be able to polish it off completely.
Yeah. How about sandpaper? Is that too harsh?
I would say sandpaper's too harsh. I would go with like a fine nail file to start with. But, you know, at the end of the day, the results that you get from it...
That's so pretty.
This
Especially with the Jubilee.
Yeah. But this is a brass heart.
Yeah.
And the way that this has been, had a patina put onto it is I've just simply taken an old paintbrush and use an old paintbrush and paint it onto the surface. Now, they don't recommend that you paint the gel on neat. You can paint the gel on neat. The best thing is if you've got a scrap piece of metal just to practice on, to see what results that you get.
Yeah.
But you know,
you've experimented with different shapes as well and layered them.
Yeah, yeah. Things like bead caps and filigree backs that you get. You know, you've got a cogwheel here, little brass keys, and say it makes quite a pretty brooch.
Yeah, that is.
And say all these pieces here have got some patina on them.
Okay.
And then
there's all different colours and they've come out with different results.
Yeah. And then we've got other videos as well. I'm going to show you how to make holes in it, to put rivets and eyelets in, and also to stamp lettering into it. But that's a video for another day.
All right, brilliant. Thank you, Corinne. That's all we have time for here today on the Crafts channel. Join us again soon.